Good evening and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. How is everybody tonight? I hope you're all well. I hope you had a good day and I hope you're ready to join me on a little bit of crafting on tonight's show. Hello, Chris. How are you? How's your day been? Thank you for joining us tonight. Oh, phone's still on. Hang on. Busy day, busy day. Okay, and good evening, Augie. And hello, Amberden, ready to heckle from the peanut gallery. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, tonight is a crafting stream. We're going to finish up my work on using Gamemaster from the Army Painter. I have been using this set for the last week or so, doing dungeon tiles, and I have been having a tremendous amount of fun working with the kit, with everything that it contains, and I believe that it launches on the Army Painter's web store on the 27th, so just 3 days away. For anybody who is new to the channel, who hasn't followed, let me tell you absolutely everything that has happened up until now. So, well, let's see. First, the Earth cooled, and then the dinosaurs came. But they got too big and fat, so they all died, and then they turned into oil. And then I got hold of the foam, and I started cutting the foam into various shapes using the enclosed knife and ruler that come with the set. And using a pencil, I scored a design of tiles onto this particular piece of foam, making it a 4x4. And then, once I did that, I primed the tiles with a non-toxic, non-melting of foam aerosol. I think it's water-based. So that was able to prime the entire tile in a sort of muddy brown, dark black brown sort of look. And over that, I did an overbrush of the dungeon base. I got a nice big bottle there. And I was kind of going to wait and do the rest of the process with you on the channel tonight. And, well, you know, it's one of those things that once you get started, you kind of don't want to stop. So I carried on. So with the dungeon base on, I then used the subterranean wash, and I put this into all of the recesses, into the sort of the cracks between the tiles, into all the little dips, the nooks and crannies that gave it a nice sort of mouldy green, dark, damp sort of look to the tile. And once that had thoroughly dried, I then did a dry brush of dungeon highlights, which is a mid to light grey. And I used the enclosed brushes. We've got the large Gamemaster dry brush, along then with the medium brush. So using the two of those. And once that was dry, I then very carefully used the dungeon effects, which is kind of all white, isn't it? Just to sort of pick out all the edges to the tiles. So, that has got me to here. Here is one of my tiles. And in fact, I've got quite a few. So let's put these out here. Let's build a little dungeon, because we can. I also used, as you can see, some of the basing sand, just to put some sort of fine gravels onto the actual tiles. Could we put a little piece in there? Oh, that'll fit in just nicely there. We could put maybe a piece in here. And I am really rather chuffed with these. I've really enjoyed the process. There we go, there's a nice big tile piece there. There you go. So those are the tiles so far. I do have an extra one. We've got a corner piece here with some nice little areas of a tile that are all sort of broken loose. Got a little bit of rubble on the corner point there. Hello, Mini Painter 53. They look great. Thank you. I am really, really chuffed with these. Chuffed is the word. I'm going to show you this one. This is one of the special sort of room tiles. I was trying a different effect with this, where each tile is broken up again. Funnily enough, since I've started this project, I've now started looking at tiles and pavements and paving stones everywhere I walk to get inspiration for colours and for just how paving tiles sort of are in real life, you know. And what I have done is I've created a whole load of these 3x3s so that after this, I am going to be able to just make up different styles for this 3x3 tile and to experiment with different sort of processes. And I will show you, I'm going to be working on this tonight because I have an idea for what I want to do with this already. And I will show you something else that I have worked on. I'll show you that a little bit later on. So there we go. So that... And again, for those who have already sort of been following the channel will know, you get this great guide with the set. And if you are following the channel on social media, today's social media post, it has the link to this guide. So you are able to actually view this digitally. And one thing that we pointed out when we looked at this the first time is all of these QR codes. Well, a lot of these videos for this one, how to create a spiked pit or how to create water, these videos are all available now on the Army Painters YouTube channel. So if you are into your crafting and you want to get some hints and tips, then this is a great resource. But pretty much, if I just go through here, even though this is showing how to do the cavern set, so it's a different color scheme, I have pretty much done everything. So we go to cavern highlights and then cavern effects. The very last phase is either using the Brink Black paint to paint the edge of your tiles, should you wish to do so. Though, of course, you don't have to, and I kind of like the stone effect around the edges. So I'm kind of keeping them as they are. And then it is just a case of adding some tufts in and around your dungeon. So we're going to do a little bit of that. And again, there's a set of tufts included within the set. So we can put some of those into our corridors. But I want the corridors to stay relatively generic. But what I'm going to do tonight is just do a few, I guess, special effects just to add a little bit extra to all of these corridors. And then we'll do a little bit on the room. So that's the plan. I'm just giving myself a little bit of room because there's so much stuff put out here. Thank you, Augie. And hello, Roger. Good evening. Welcome. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I will answer as best as I can. The caveat being, I am not a crafting expert. There are many, many resources available on the internet. I'm thinking primarily of YouTube here, where you can get awesome guidance on how to craft. So let me just increase the brightness just a little bit. So there we go. So that's, you can see one of the tiles there. How thick are the tiles? Well, here we go. Let's just do it for you right away. I'm going to do this in, what, centimeters? Because I think we'll find it's a nice 1 centimeter thickness. And the sheets of foam that come with the set, you get, I want to say either 6, I think it might be 6 A4 sheets and 2 A3 sheets. So you get a lot of foam. I have by no means used all of the foam that I have. I still have a lot of foam, a lot of rooms all sat there waiting for me to start working on. Something I mentioned last week, a little tip. We all get, well, a lot of our miniatures come in blister packs with the obviously the plastic casing around the miniature. So something like this. And if you cut this away carefully off your packaging, and maybe if you just take the top, but I think you possibly could even use the sides, depending on how careful you are, you could cut yourself a square piece in this instance. And my sort of idea being is that this square piece can go perfectly flat on top of your dungeon tile. And there's a little bit of rigidity to it. And what this could then allow you to do, if carefully, is put some sort of scenery item on this. So maybe you put your gravel as an obstacle actually on here as opposed to on the tile. And that being the case, you could move the obstacle anywhere on your tiles. I do have an idea for treasure chests. I'm going to have a treasure chest on one of these with gold spilling out of the chest. And so I'll just place that down there, and I'll still be able to see my tile underneath it, but I'll be able to have all these wonderful coins and the chest all set up there. Spell effects, there we go, yes. Maybe some arcane symbols can be painted on this, and you can just place it down wherever you want. I just thought that might be I'm sure somebody else has probably thought of it. I was just a bit chuffed when I sort of worked it out. Right, so what I'm going to do is, before I put the tufts onto these corridor tiles, I want to enhance the sort of the contrast a little bit as far as the shadows, just to add a little bit more to the dampness, add a bit more into the cracks. And I found that the best thing to do with this is sort of traditional artists' oil paints. So let me get that set up. We'll just put that there. this here. And if I make up enough, excuse me, make up enough paint mixture, then I should be able to do quite a bit all in one go. That's the idea. And hopefully I do this without making a mess. So I have here, this is lamp black. It's basically a blue black, which works really nice then with this sort of dungeon tile. Let's just get quite a bit in there. We're going to need a lot of thinner. Put that on carefully. There we go. There. Right. This is the bit I don't want to get everywhere. I'm going to get some towel. All right. Just going to put that there. Get a nice big brush. We need to transfer. This is low odor thinner. More preferable to use this than using terps or white spirits. Of course, if you do use those, then really you need good ventilation. I keep on sort of teasing myself that at some point I do want to do an oil-based backdrop for one of my miniatures. I've seen other people do them really, really well, and I'd love to have a go. We're just going to place that there. All right, and we can just mix some of this. And of course, I know that the community here are incredibly talented with their arts and crafts. So I am sure there's quite a few of you who are already very experienced with oil paints. And tonight, of course, is the community gallery. So if you would like to share what you've been doing, feel free. Exclamation Discord. All right. Let's just put that there. Okay. So I have obviously sort of dedicated brushes for doing oil paints, because you do not want to mix your paints. And the good thing about this is that you can run the paint on in and it sort of works with capillary action. I think that's the term. So it just finds the lines to just go down. You use inks for this, do you, Chris? Okay, yeah, no, it's either or work really well. Of course, the good thing about using oils is that you have a little bit of working time with them. And they can be pretty good for just blending out. So this is not the best tile as far as having little details that I wanted to sort of show. But if you put a little bit of spirit on, and then you can just start blending it a little bit. You can maybe just add a little bit around some of these rocks. And then we just get a little bit of the spirit, and we just... It just makes sort of nice... nice sort of gradients. We actually can add in a little bit of gradient here, even though it's not really there. Gives a sort of false image on that tile that maybe it's a little bit lower down. Same with this. And the good thing about this is it just adds a little bit of visual variety. That's quite dark there. Let's just get that going into here a little bit more. There we go. Marianne, welcome. Good evening. How are you? So I'm just doing some oil paints on the tiles from last week. Just adding a little bit of extra contrast. I'm just going to blend that a little bit. There we go. All right. We're just going to do a little bit to each one. Some of them, so we got this nice sort of crack in this tile. Is it your birthday, Marianne? Is that what you're referring to? If so, congratulations. Happy birthday to you. Oh, excellent. How have you celebrated your birthday then? All right, so we got that. Let's get a little bit more in on these cracks. You've been eating pizza with your brothers. Excellent. That's a good way to spend your birthday for sure. I'm trying to sort of see this a little bit. Let me just add a little bit. In fact, I've actually got quite a bit of paint just naturally on the brush now. And sometimes if you put the thinner down first and then just take the smallest amount, that gets a nicer sort of effect, and just a nice sort of blended effect. Hopefully you can sort of see there. So again, we're just getting a little bit more interest, because, you know, otherwise it's just very grey, isn't it? Let's just quickly... This is a good tile because this tile has one of the dips. So to do a dip in the tile where it's sunken in one corner, what you do is you use the edge point of a ruler and you basically just press the foam down. It's the simplest, most obvious sort of thing that you probably wouldn't think of until you sort of find out about it. So here we go. So we see this dip here. So we want to now accentuate that so that it's a lot more obvious that there is a dip there. And we can just put this nice little curve in. There you go. And we got a little bit of a dip over on this side, so again we'll put in there, we'll put in here. Again, these oil paints pretty much, they find their own way. There's a nice big recess. And I'm using, as I say, this lamp black, but there is nothing stopping you from using other colours to do this. Maybe some greens or browns. This is all quite recessed. And we can just add a little bit in there. And with this one. And once it's dry enough, then you can always just add some more. And we're just adding this into the lowest part just to really boost that contrast. There you go. How's that? Trying to get a good angle for you. So this one's actually quite a nice tile. This is a nice long tile. Got a little bit brighter than some of the other tiles. There we go, another dip. So let's just blend it out a little bit. We got quite a few dips on this one, in fact. Another one just here. More in this area. Gosh, yeah, I must have gone crazy on this one. Let's blend that a bit better. I like how it just makes these nice sort of streaks. Really helps to define everything. So we want more into that area there. Let's just there you go, that's better. So as I say, if you were doing the caverns, you could use a sort of a burnt umber, something like that, and do the equivalent. All right. So what I will do is I will do... Oh, actually, I've not got that many. Go on, if I'm quick, I think I can get all of these done. It kind of makes sense that if I've got the paint prepared. Because I want to start working on the special tile, because I've got something else to show. The way I figure it, as much most of people probably, if you're into crafting, you might have quite a few of these things already. I know that there's a few of you who do have oil paints. I think Amberden, you've said that you've got some, or at least I have the impression that you do. And just because I'm doing my colouring up on the top of the tile, but in fact, you know, we should be doing a little bit if we're really going to sell the idea, is doing some of this down here, just boosting the contrast in all these little cracks. All right, we got that one done. Let's quickly. Oh, see, and again, there's no right or wrong on this. So long as having a little bit of thinner to the side really helps, because if you feel that you've it's going in the wrong direction, a little bit of thinner and you can just blend it out and it's all good. A little bit in there and a little bit. Oh, that's quite a lot there. Let's so you've only do it for big paintings, but you know, this is where in a crafting way they can be used for sure. For some of your scenery. In fact, learning a little bit about using these oil paints has inspired me to use them on one of the miniatures I'm working on. So that's going to be an interesting experience, because I've only used the oils on sort of larger craft elements. I've not used it on a miniature myself, but I'm going to only be doing it as a, you know, in a sort of way of pin washing, being able to use the properties of oils to add some of those details, because oils just do it so well. So again, You just guide in all these sort of cracks. It just really makes all the individual tiles just really pop. So we've got quite a few little indentations here, but again, we'll just blend it out when we get to the top a little bit. We just really put quite a bit in. There's that, there we go, that's quite a deep recess. And there was a dip here, so let's just get a little bit more in on that corner. And oh, so we've actually got, it's one of the first ones, we've got a little line here. So we can just get that line just put on in. Again, there's a suggestion of, you know, using pencils to make quite deep cracks in the tiles. And that's what I did with the other one, which we're going to go to. But I've since sort of discovered that using the side of a sculpting tool, the sharper sort of side, is perfect for just making marks that are just subtle enough. You don't necessarily want them really, really deep. Oh look, we got another line there. Let's get that in. There you go. And I suppose, you know, depending on how you felt about it, you could always do another dry brush over the top of this. If you felt that your contrast, but I'm kind of liking, you always, of course, wait until it's fully dried, because there is a difference. I just need to just bring out a little bit more oil in my sort of reservoir. Yes, dental tools. Yes, yes, yes. And something that I intend to pick up a set of sculpting tools. Those are very handy. As in for doing maybe clay sculptures. But dental tools, yes. I think we know somebody who might just have some of those. Alright, so let's quickly do this. But I've literally got 2 left. So into the dark recesses. Got another dip here. Works particularly well on the dips. Let's just blend that. There we go. And across this edge. Again, a bit too much there, but just blend it. On this side. This is all quite recessed. Got quite a lot in there. And of course, to do all these effects, it's just having a nice big rock at your disposal. So go hunting, go and find yourselves a rock. Rocks are great for adding natural texture to your foam. All right, that one's done. All right, last one. Well, last one of these before we go onto the room. So again, we got to push that into the corner. Again, same in here. But what I shall do is we'll get this done, and I will show you the special room that I've worked on. As I say, there's so much foam. There's only so many corridors I felt that I needed, and it's more a case of let's make lots of interesting rooms. So I've started making a room, and it'll come to no surprise to some of you, the followers of the channel, who've seen other things that I've worked on in the past. I'm happy with the result. So we can get a little bit in here. Just a bit more into there. How's that? It just gets a bit more visually interesting, doesn't it? And we can just have a little bit around some of these stones. Just helps the brightness of the stone just jump out more. All right. So this is. We'll just get a little bit into these much darkest areas. I'm not quite sure how much of it we're going to be able to see with what I intend to do with this, but we'll do a proper job. Dip in there, definitely a dip here. You just sort of blend it on in a little bit. Just blend, blend, blend. We can get some more going down into there. And over here, this is a nice one because it kind of crosses over the tile. Same with this one. There. And again, whilst it's sort of wet, it's a little bit darker than what it will look like once it has dried. So you always got to bear that in mind. All right, there you go. Give me 2 seconds to just take these oil paints away, because I don't want to sort of spill or hit anything, talk amongst yourselves, and I will be right back. All right, we're back. So, next step is to add some tufts. So, these are the 3 that I'm going to work on. Let's put those there so you can see them. And we'll just use this brush just here. So again, the set, of course, comes with some glue. So nice and easy. We have our set of tufts. And I have seen people use inks on tufts to give them different sort of colours to them. So even though I'm just going to put these down as they are, you could adapt these to your liking. We'll just squeeze out a little bit of glue. Don't need too much. I have some nice pliers, and well, so where are we going to put our tufts? Let's move that one out of the way. Let's take this one. I don't want to put anything. Well, tufts kind of want to go around some of these recesses because there's something that's going to go in those, and it should go around the edges, shouldn't it? Would you agree? How about feel like a tuft might want to go there. A little dollop of glue. Weeds would grow anywhere that dirt would gather. Well, it's definitely going to be in all the sort of recesses, isn't it? So we'll just have a little, got a little one just in there, looking nice. And we don't want to do too many. I'm going to put maybe another one just on this corner here. I'll just put those in there. There we go. Just nice and easy. You know, not too big. We'll let those dry. Let's go over to this one. And again, well, I kind of don't want to put it in the same places, so we're going to put one here. And maybe, go on in, yeah. We'll put one just in this corner, just here. There we go. Right, I'm going to come back to those in a moment, because we're going to try tonight's a little bit about trying some different things, some different techniques, just to try and take these tiles, make them again just slightly more interesting than just grey dungeon tiles, because you can. So that's the tile that we're going to work on a little bit more. But this is the tile that I worked on over the weekend. So well, here you go. I'll just show it you, and we'll take it from there. Here you go. So this is one of the room tiles that my dungeon. So in fact, we can actually set this out a little bit, can't we? We can make it and put it into in situ. Will that go? That goes there, and maybe we can have a little corridor coming off from it here. There you go. So anybody who is familiar with the channel will know that when I got my airbrush from the airbrush company, one of the first things I tried, and I'm just going to bring it out from the back here, is I created this marble effect on this base. And it was the first time I tried doing the technique, and I thought it looked okay. And so I tried it again, because this is the perfect medium to try this type of technique on. And it hasn't quite worked out. But it doesn't look bad either. So as I wanted it to be marble sort of tiles within the center here, I kind of think of it as maybe some ornate, pattern on some shiny stone. It looks fine to me. It's not marble, but it looks fine to me. So what did I do, for anybody who's not familiar? This is a baby wipe material that you get in packs from your local superstore. And you dry it out, so because of course it's got various, antiseptic properties on it. So once it's nice and dry, what you're able to do is pull it so that the fibers stretch. And this is where I went wrong with this, but got it right with that. Is that, if you see on this, can you see how there's actually still quite a bit of clumping? You want the fibers to be quite fine, spider web-like, because wherever the fiber is, that is the vein in the marble. Any of the large holes, that is going to be the light grey-white colour. So, see, that's probably looking like a slightly better piece now. I guess it's going to take a little bit of practice of learning what is the best sort of ratio. How far do you stretch this to get the right effect? All right. Well, that's basically it. You spray the tile, your primer. You then spray it with I sprayed it with a dark sort of teal, and then did some splashes of a lighter teal, but then I went really bright. And again, I don't think the very bright works. I think it needs to still remain darker. And then you place down the cloth on top and you secure it firmly so that it cannot move. It's important that during the entire painting process it does not move. And you spray over it with a mid-grey, and then spray it over again in certain areas with a brighter, lighter grey, and then maybe with some whites. And then once that's completely dry, you pull away the baby white material, and hopefully you have an amazing sort of marbled pattern. And if not, well, maybe you have something like that, which kind of looks cool all the same. But again, a little bit of thought went into it. I made sure that these tiles, I put a little bit of texture on the sides, but not too much. Whereas the corridors look really worn and battered and beaten up, the room tiles just look a little bit nicer. I've also used the oils to go on in and just to add a little bit more contrast, so it's darker around this edge. Kind of makes your eye come on in slightly more into the center part of the tile. And then we've got this little gold inlay. Again, I cut this into the actual tile work itself, so it looks as if it's laid in pieces of gold that someone could rob, I'm sure. So there you go. So that is one of the rooms that I've created so far. Right. But next, because I've wanted an excuse to try them, and now is as good a time as any, the airbrush company provided me this wonderful set of life color powders and fixer fluids for producing algae. And I believe that they do one for mosses as well. It's a similar sort of thing. So, so we're going to give this a go. We're going to add some algae, some moss to our tile, because as you say, anywhere that soil would gather will little seeds might come on some adventurer's boot, and suddenly we get some life springing up. So what have we got? We got fixer fluids. Well, one's a dark green, one's a yellowy green. I think we're going to go for the dark green. And so apparently what you can do is you can either mix the powders with the fluid and then sort of put it on. Or you can put the fluid on and then just use a sort of cocktail stick or something to put it on in, and it will stick and bond. So what do we have? We're going to go for sort of real greens. I think it's this one, full-blown green. Let's give this a try. See what we have. Alright, so let's just change the camera so you guys can see. So this is definitely, there's a clump sort of nature to this. Algae. Okay. So that's a good one. We'll have some of that. What's this one like? Because what happens is that you can then put the fixer on top of one layer. Oh, this is bright green. So this is too bright for a dark, damp dungeon. We don't want that. That's not good for what we're doing right now. Which one's that? Luxuriant green. What's this? Bright plant. Is that bright? It looks quite... it's like a dead browny green. I think that first one is our first contender. So, give this a good shake. And we'll get an old brush. Right, hang on a second. Need an old brush. We do not want to be using good brushes for this. No, by no means. So, let's... Ooh, so it's kind of a... kind of a greeny turquoise colour. I'm just putting a little bit in the palette. That's going to be interesting. Alright, let's put that to one side. Move those. So, and we're going to have... put this over here so that we don't cough and splutter or and knock it up. Let's run this. Actually, we'll do it. Let's just do it down here. All right. Okay, so I'm experimenting. It is a very yeah, you're right. It's bluey green, but it almost, of course, disappears once the actual powder goes on. But it's not quite powder. It's like little clumps. Let's be brave, because we can be. Let's put loads in here. So we've really gone for it here. Good thing about it is, because I've got so many of these tiles, it doesn't matter. It's all about experimenting and trying different things. See, I do think, actually, when I'm looking at this now, I think it's going to be a multi-layered effect. You're going to have to sort of build this up. So, again, I've never used these types of let's keep going. Let's be brave on this. Let's put some in here. I'm wondering if it maybe would isopropanol, would that fix it more so? It should just be fixing just as is. And I guess obviously it's coloured to create a bit of a sort of a base underneath it. It feels a little gloopy. So it might have obviously some sticky properties. What do I have that is a better? Maybe. Go on, let's use this. ISO runs at the risk of clearing out your acrylic paints. I've used ISO on other stuff where it's been painted before, and it's not got rid of the paint. But yes, typically I would use ISO for stripping. But no, I've had it so that it seals pigments and things like that. Good evening, Chris. Welcome. If in doubt, varnish first. Yes, that's good advice. Good advice. Okay, so this is for some. It seems very. What's the word? It's not as bright a green as I thought it might be, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Granted, of course, I can always come back on in with maybe a wash. But can you see how sort of how blue it looks? Granted, of course, it is for algae, isn't it? So let's. I wonder if the mosses set is slightly greener. This has a bit more of a sort of aquatic feel to it, doesn't it, I guess? Let's have a little bit in here. And actually, put a little bit in there. So the idea of this is I wanted quite a bit of greenery on the tile. I was trying to do a sort of Aztec jungle idea. Because I have some sort of plants and vines. So I kind of want it much greener. But of course, you don't want... Hello, Galan. So these are sculpted in foam or pre-made. No, these are all being created by hand. This is using the Army Painter's Gamemaster set. I've just been showing, so we've got some L-shaped corridors, and that's effectively what the Gamemaster set allows you to do. So that's taking... So we're going from a pure flat piece of white foam. We're using the ruler and the knife to cut it into shape. We're using the sanding paper, and I've used a rock from the outside to put some textures on. I've sprinkled on some of the scenic sand. I primed it with the enclosed primer, and then it's a base coat with a dark grey. It is then a mid highlight and then a final bright highlight with the brushes over the top. And then just this evening, I've just put in those little sort of dungeon tufts. And that is pretty much what you're able to create using the set. What I'm doing now is I'm experimenting on this tile, where I've taken things a little bit further. Cut in a different sort of design, and I'm using some pigments from Life Color. This is an algae set, so trying to sort of give it some a bit of color in there. I did show this was a tile that I created. Let's just change the camera settings a little bit. How's that? So this is using an airbrush and doing a design. It was an attempt at doing marble. It hasn't quite worked out as marble, but I think it's a nice, pleasing sort of pattern regardless. So that's one of the room tiles. Oh, there we go. I can show you. So that is a tile without any paint, but you can see some of the texturing there. You can see the design of the actual tiles themselves. So it's a 1 inch system being used on these. You just use a rock to push on in little details, which of course, once you start painting it up, all those details start to really pop and it looks amazing. Right, so let's just see. I wonder, how long do you leave it for? I'm going to add a few more areas. Because there's something else I wanted to try. It's all about trying stuff tonight. Here. Bit in there. In fact, we've got quite a bit. Let's just do it down here. Let's miss that bit of rock there. And let's do in here as well. And okay, so add a little bit more. Okay. Well, we've got some greenery on the tile. I'm not quite sure whether that's going to stay or... Good night, the boy TM. Thank you for watching. Let's language may resume. We don't necessarily overly do language on the channel, Chris. We're very polite most of the time. Unfortunately, the key, the main source of language is having problems with their internet, and I'm not able to join us tonight. Right. Okay. So we've got a little bit of mosses. I'm going to because I'm impatient. I'm going to find out. So. Okay, so some of it has stuck.
Chill, motherfuckers! Sorry, got that out of the system.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, Amberden. Thank you. All right, so there we go. We do have some sort of mosses growing out. Right. Next step. Because if we've got green stuff growing, then it means we've got to have some sort of moisture, haven't we? And it doesn't give a drying time, does it? No, no. So what do I have? We have the UV resin from the green stuff world. Because we want to do some water, don't we? Let's see how this goes. Of course, there are many, many, many different products on the market that you could get hold of for doing water. This is just one of them. I just find this reasonably convenient. What I like about it most is that my UV torch absolutely looks like a lightsaber. So that being the case, it's brilliant. So what have I got? I'm going to add some Army Painter green tone, because I'm imagining my dungeon is not going to be, you know, the fountain of youth here. It's going to have some pretty awful plumbing, and we're gonna mix that up just to find out what we get. All right, let's see what we get, because a little bit of it of wash goes a long way. Can you guys see? And you just got to give it a good mix, because you want to try and get those wash particles. Oh, there we go. See, now it's getting nice and smooth. Now then, is that green enough? I feel we need a little bit more. There we go, that'll do. Sarah! We've literally just mentioned your name. And here you are. How are you? Right, now that's looking a bit gloopy, but not in the way that I was hoping. Let's add a little blue. Was that a quick in and hello and goodbye, Sarah? Right. I'm not quite sure that's what I want. Give me a second. Alright, let's see if this works. I've had to quickly try and clear out that pot. I'm not quite sure water goes well. But, you know, you live and learn. Okay, that should be good. Let's start this again. I'm going to try a different... something different. Oh, got a piece of something inside already. We're just going to do a little bit this time. Because we kind of want it clear, but with a hint of sort of sewer green. The problem is that that one went really cloudy. And of course, cloudy's not good. Not what we're after. Alright, move that there. Let's take this. See what we get. It's all about experimenting, so it's all good. Okay. Alright, well, so this is definitely looking greener than green, isn't it? Okay, so that's definitely different. Now, yes, ink, not paint. Yes, well, that's what I've gone for. But I think my drop is just a bit too big, but that's okay. Because what we can do, so that definitely works. So there we go. It's inks, not paints. So, how about we could add too much green, it's way too strong. Yeah, well, so what the plan is then, we're going to have to do it on the fly a little bit. If I add a drop in there. Yes, no, that's fair enough. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take just the smallest amount. I think that's the smallest amount. Okay, you see, and because I've got a little bit of the green ink and mixture on the actual cocktail stick, that just tints it nicely. All right, so we've got something happening here. The good thing about it, Chris, is I don't feel any pressure on it for the fact of it. It's all just experimenting. So if we just do a couple of block drops into the crevices, I'm going to do a little bit in here. It'll be interesting to see how this reacts with the algae. I'm going to do a little bit into some of these recesses here. Oh, that's probably too much. But we've got we'll use this. We'll use a cocktail stick and got a little bit of the green on the stick. Let's move this one along a little bit. So it wants to go into these sort of areas. Good thing about it is that as you sort of drag this along a little bit, obviously where it's thinner, then we start to get a little bit of the hint of the colour, don't we? And this gets we're getting maybe nice sort of puddled. Just mix a little bit of green in there. Can that go back over there a little bit? About some into here. I'm just making sure it's not pouring out, because it seems that one of these is it's just disappeared. Filling puddles, Augie, yes. You've made muffins. Well, that sounds good. Are these dungeon muffins? Let's add a little bit more. Right, I'm going to set that. We'll see what we get. So, of course, it's UV curing resin. So you just shine a UV light on it. Come on, that's glowing. Look at it. That's amazing. Do I use it for cleaning the home? Oh, the dungeon that was season 1 or season 2. My goodness, we haven't spoken about the dungeon in a long time. Okay. And there you go. So we got some nice water effects on this one. We got a little bit of a hint of colour. I don't know quite how well you get to see, but I can see some green in there. I think it needs more. Let's just take. Is it finished? It could be. I'm not quite sure I'm getting the full sort of jungle, watery, oops, overgrown, green sort of vibe from it. But I wanted to sort of experiment, and this is the perfect excuse. So I've been thinking of, for some reason, I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with, Resident Evil. So, the sort of red and cream sort of checkered patterns. I've been thinking of those and how they might look on dungeon tiles and how I might create them. You can kind of see a little bit of the green. It's definitely not natural. Altogether unnatural. So just use the torch just to set it. Just give it a little bit of a blast. If you didn't have a torch, you could always put this in a in a window, and when it's sunny, the UV will naturally set the resin. It'll take a little bit longer, of course. Yes, I know. Sunny in the UK, these are two words that don't often go side by side. But we live in hope. I think so long as we just have day, that is enough. We need to have some sort of brightness. All right. So, I don't know how well you can see. Yeah, there's a little bit of green in there. You know, it's not too bad. Right. Something I found, though, is my own clump foliage. Let's see how this looks. So, we should. Is this glue still good? No, glue's already gone a bit hard. How about topping up some of the sort of algae with my own stuff? Let's see what we get. I'm thinking that this might be a little bit in here, a bit more. Oh. Hello, is that MacGmania? Welcome to the channel. Haha, you see, Chris can't even type in exclamation ruined. So if you can't type exclamation ruined, if I ruin someone's name, that doesn't count. Oh, this is all quite... So this has actually got quite old now. But let's see. Yeah, that's a bit... If we just take a little clump, how about that in there? So in effect, what I made a couple of years ago is not too dissimilar to the product I've just used. The good thing about it, of course, is that this just adds an extra bit of colour. And that's what we're after. It is literally years ago. It'll be 2 years ago. This is all quite dry now. I think for about a year it stayed okay in the pot. What it is it was a particular type of flock, and I just mixed it up with PVA glue and using it as a sort of moss. And now it's quite dry. But maybe we can still use it. I mean, it looks perfectly fine. It's just the you just need to get the little clumps. There we go. So we definitely got some different greens going on there. We got a little bit of texture. I guess we just finish off then with a dungeon tuft, because it's not complete without a dungeon tuft, is it? Let's be honest. So there we go. Bit of a tuft. And let's put another one in just for good measure. In fact, we should have 3, shouldn't we? We should always do everything in 3s. Let's have one just here. And let's have one just over here. And that will be it. So, put that in there. That in there. And of course you could cut these up if you wanted to. Make them a bit smaller. Let's just give it a bit of a prod around the edges. There we go. So, there's one of the unique dungeon tiles, I guess. I don't think that looks too bad. McGermania, thank you so much. This is, yes, it's a foam base, so let me show you. There you go. So that's how it originally starts off. It's XPS foam. You score out the sort of 1-inch grid pattern onto it, and then cut it down to the individual sort of size shapes you want. So you can have any shape you like. That's obviously a 4x4. This is a 3x3. Here you go. You can have a corner piece. And then, of course, you paint it up using... So this is from the Army Painter. This is a set that is launching on the 27th. And it's called Gamemaster. And basically the pack has everything within it that you would need to create your set of dungeon tiles. Though there is also a hot wire cutter in there as well. So if you wanted to make a cavern, then you can do so. So we say you do like 1-inch grids, not slightly larger, 1/4. No, I just followed the guide, and basically these are so 1 inch, 30 millimeters, which is the typical size of a sort of, you know, a 28 to 32 mil miniature. So that's the sort of system I've gone for on this. But again, you know, if I wanted to change, I could always do that. Could always make some larger scaled tiles. It's totally up to you. Here's one of the rooms that I've done. So we got slightly nicer stone patterning, and then of course there's a little bit of gold inlay and kind of marble, kind of maybe. You know, I'm not claiming it's marble. I'm just saying it's a nice sort of sky sort of pattern on the stone floor. Now, there we go. Do I have a base? Here we go. Hang on a second. Let's just, I don't want to get any blue tack on this. Or orange tack, as the case may be. So here is, obviously you recognise the top part of this, but the bottom part is a typical base that I have for all my miniatures. And yes, that is slightly larger. I think this is that a 32mm base? So it's slightly larger than one of these. So you're not going to necessarily, you know, you're going to squeeze up your miniatures base to base a little bit. I guess it's just a bit more convenient. 1 inch, it's just easier on the rulers and things like that. But you know, each their own. You can absolutely. I'm not bothering with walls. Not doing the walls. So there you go. See, again, something that we discussed on a channel last time is that these are going to make awesome little sort of plinths to basically have my miniatures when they're painted displayed on top. So they can all look quite unique, quite different. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, no walls. Not doing walls. So I've seen lots of different examples of how cool they can look as well. It's just down to your imagination, isn't it? There's no stopping you what you can create. So, and as regulars to the channel are aware that hopefully in the next couple of weeks we will actually be doing one of our community challenges, which has been generously supported by the Army Painter, so that you guys all get a chance to create your very own dungeon tile, dungeon room. So I think we discussed a 5x5, so that is the size of a room that you could make. All right, but what you put in your room and how you design it, how you paint it and realize it, that's completely up to you. And of course, it can be multi-layered, so you can add depth to your room if you wish. It just can't be larger than the 5x5. Just so we have some guidelines, because there will be a prize for the best looking tile. I will provide details on the challenge as we get a little bit closer. But hopefully tonight and the previous show has given you some idea of what you might be able to create and how you would go about doing so. So there we go. MacG Mania, yes. So the channel does a community challenge. Basically, once a month, I challenge viewers to either paint a miniature, or in this case, it's going to be to craft a tile. We do a lottery at the beginning of the month, and whoever is successful in that lottery either receives the miniature or receives the crafting foam for the tile. All you have to do is pay for the shipping costs. So if you're interested in some of the things that the channel has done in the past, go onto Instagram. It's the hashtag MWF Community Challenge, and you can see all of the work that the channel viewers have done, and it's very impressive. Shipping costs to the US are a bit rough right now. It depends on the size and weight of the item, doesn't it? Yeah. So I understand that, and it's, if you're able to, I mean, the good thing about the crafting challenge is that basically you could take part. All you have to do is source your own XPS foam and cut it to a 5 by 5 inch grid, and there you go. So you could take part in the challenge on that one. Not a problem. Right. I think that pretty much wraps things up for this evening. So thank you so much, everybody, for your company. I hope you've enjoyed watching me build these tiles. I've certainly enjoyed practicing and having a go. I found it they're very, very relaxing. Very relaxing. Gallery I will be doing next week, Chris. So it will be a bumper gallery next week. I know you've got a lot of work in there, so we'll enjoy seeing all of that. All right then. Thank you so much then. I think we could just need to roll some credits. And wish you all a good evening wherever you are in the world. So let's press that and see what happens. There we go. And so, well, our thanks to MacGmania for following. Glad you found the channel. And yes, do come and join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7 p.m. GMT. On Friday, it is TFI Games Night. So we will be playing a game. I'm not quite sure what game it's going to be. It may be one, it may be the other. You'll have to join me on Friday to find out. All right. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye for now. Expect that. That's the same. But what you're going to see is different.